Intentions, I have two intentions, or maybe three. So first of all, my friend Saul is here who does 3D modeling, and we've identified a really cool potential way to look at the word count of the most common words that came out of the praise data, to render that as like a 3D word sphere. So excited for that. It's a fun project, more on like the front end and design side of things. Number two is just to announce to the community that my outputs from last time were one, kind of the word count thing that some people might want to check out, and it could be expanded. Number two, I started a framework for using doc2vec to spatially embed the praise column. And that can be picked up by anyone here who might want to take a look at that and do that work. I don't plan on getting back to it right away because of the third thing that I wanted to mention, which is what I think I personally, if what I want to tackle today to be most effective is I would really like to start making ground on the idea of looking at the discount rows so that get applied, and because there's a bit of data cleaning that would have to be done complementary to what Octopus has done in terms of just isolating those discount rows and then being able to line them up so that I could reverse that and quantify how much the discount has been to those who are on sort of like a salary style with the common stack or the TEC, and do some quantification on the balance there. And I sort of have some intuition around a few equations where maybe we can equate potential outcomes of the dollar amount of a TEC token, and then how that looks compared to the salaries that were paid. So I think that's a really interesting one. I'd like to make some groundwork on that myself. But those are the 3 points. Having some fun with a word sphere with Saul with some 3D modeling. Number 2 is the doc2vec work can be picked up by anyone, any curious data scientists. I kind of started it. I think it's a good project. And number 3, I would love to lay the groundwork for equating the costs of governance. So that's, I know that I've been thinking about this stuff a lot. So, maybe I'll pass it over to Jeff.
Hey, sorry, a few minutes late. We're just doing intentions, distractions.
Yeah, and not really any distractions on my end, to sum up. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Cool. Yeah, intentions. Eager to see sort of where the data analysis stuff is at, and hear about any insights that have been gleaned thus far. Yeah, curious to touch base and see kind of sort of like time check sense making in terms of like what kind of 80-20 actionable insights we can take that are also mindful of timelines that the TEC is working towards. And I'm curious how, because I feel like we have a couple of work streams. One is like for future evolutions and modifications and upgrades of the praise system moving forward. And another may be, more sensitive towards pre-hatch considerations. So just curious to sort of pick apart, what are the 80-20 things for anything that's time sensitive, and then also, looking towards the praise system as a gradable, process moving forward, and how we can make sure that's suiting the needs of the people that are in it. Distractions, none on my side, and I will pass it on to. I was a little bit late, so I'm not sure who's gone yet, but I'll pass it on to Johan.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I was invited by Angela a few days ago to help with a praise analysis. For the most part, I'm gonna shadow over Sean and watch his workflow. I'm still a bit new to this environment. I do not have anything specific in mind that I'm going to tackle just yet. So yeah, for now, I'm merely an observer. Okay, I'll pass it on to Saul, if he's here.
Yeah. I guess I could show that idea for the. Just give me 1 second to pull it up. Just go to the documentation. Sorry about this. Let's take just 1 second. Just a second. There you go. Hey, do you mind just coming back to me in a sec? I'm just going to pull up the example of the idea. Whoever's next can go just quickly and then circle back to me.
Septimus, you want to go?
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, my intention is to see, follow the process and support where I can, and no distractions. I'll pass it to Juan.
Thanks, Septimus. Yeah, my intention is to follow with the discussion, to hear and to see what you're doing. And I don't have any distraction. I will pass to Jess.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, I guess I'm also with Jeff and thinking, what is possible because we just have a few weeks. I do think, Sean, seeing that kind of like paid versus not paid was one of the top priorities. And then I also wanted to see how much work, or if possible, since we spent time scoping and kind of doing keywords of all the categories, or if maybe that takes a lot more time, and would it be possible by hatch time? I guess still, if there's any possibility to just look a little bit more at the distribution, because that's kind of one of the main things, even outside of categories, like looking at the spread of distribution. And then I guess just trying to see what's possible in the next few weeks and looking at like our HackMD list. But we had started working on the categories. So I guess I'm curious what we can do with that, and wish I could help more with the data side. And I also was a few minutes late, went for a grandma visit. So I'll just pass it to Angela. I'm not sure who had a chance.
Hey everyone. Thanks, Jess. I'm thinking about the same things like Jess and Jeff. What does this mean for the hatch? And is there anything we should take into account? So I'm super excited about the exercises we had in the last sessions. However, I also feel, okay, there are a lot of steps to be taken. And I guess everyone was motivated to do this exercise to find out if there's something that is really important for the hatch. And so we have to see how to make things work or how to come to a conclusion. For me, the most important conclusion would be also not that much on compensation from the hedge impact hours to TEC tokens, rather on the long-term impact on, or maybe imbalance on the decision-making power. And distractions, a little bit working on math challenge for balancer simulations with Andrew. And I think I can hand over to you, Octopus. You haven't. Octopus, are you there? Not sure.
I think he just left. I think he just stepped out somehow.
Okay,
I can take it.
anybody missing?
Yeah, I can take it and we can keep this party. Yeah. I'm mostly here just to support in questions about the process or detailed data, and I'm here as support. But we'll probably be working on other things while you guys are chatting and doing the magic. And so I don't have any direct intentions other than to invite you all to the Params party. After this, we're having the great debate that Septimus will be recording, and we'll have it'll be like the big debate where we talk about the 4 parameter choices sets for the TEC economy, which actually will determine greatly the importance of even the impact hour analysis. Because if right now there's 2 in the lead, one is the one that has the least distribution for impact hour people, and one is the one that has the most distribution for impact hour people. So pretty interesting, and you can learn more about it right after this call, and we'll have a really fun debate. And I'll pass it to Nuggin.
Thanks, Riff. I'm just also sitting on the sideline listening. I'll have to leave in an hour, so I'll do it quietly. But I just wanted to see how you work this time and learn as much as I can. And I'll pass it to Eduardo.
Hello, everyone. My intention for this call is just to learn and to hear, and curious to see where it goes from here. So I'm more in a learning position right now, and to contribute if possible in any other way. And distraction, I'm having dinner. That's my main distraction at the moment. Pass it on to Didan.
Yes, thank you, Eduardo. And yeah, I'm also, my intention for this call is mostly just learning and trying to get deeper into the various corners of the TEC, and also, like, I'm not exactly a data scientist, but I have manually processed mass amounts of data for various projects. So during this call, if there's some of that manual grunt work that needs to be done, you can definitely tag me on that. Distractions, I will say, well, at the moment I'm just making some breakfast, but I will say for today that I don't have too many distractions, so that's good. And I think Sulkin, have you gone?
Yeah. Hey, my intention here is the first day ever joining, so I'm just here to listen and learn. I'm gonna showcase. I showed Sean this this idea, I guess, or just this new component for 3.js that just came out. And he thought it would be an interesting way to display some of the words or the phrases that have gone through in the TEC. So he was thinking that this would be an interesting way to showcase the praise data, just by everyone's name in like a spherical display. Not sure.
The keywords, the common words rather than the. Oh, I sent you a link to the data set, Saul.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, sweet.
Might try to play around with that a little bit here and there at some point. But yeah, so that's just me. I'm here to just listen and watch and learn and experience the TEC. Excited to be here. I'm not sure who's left to go.
I'll go.
Hand it off to the next person, I guess. Octopus or.
So my intentions are just to be present for the discussion. I don't have any ability to type at this moment, but I would like to come up with some clear things that I can do before to do asynchronously before Wednesday's meeting. So Sean, you mentioned Doc2Vec, and if no one else jumps on that aspect of it, I'm willing to start working on that for Wednesday, but I can't do it today. My distractions are the usual. I have two small children and a cat that I'm trying to shepherd while I think about these things. So sorry if I drop out or if it's really chaotic here.
Literally cat herding. And child herding, which might be even more difficult.
I'm sure a lot of us were laughing and we were just all muted. I thought it was funny. Cool. Well, let's see. Mitch, you still have to go, and I see you just put on your headphones.
I'm still here, yeah. You're
Did
doing
you?
intentions distractions for the praise call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just in the room. I'm hacking on the MVP dashboard spec. So I'm just here to passively listen. I'll pass it to whoever hasn't gone.
D-Dan, did you get to go?
Yeah, D-Dan went. Metaverde? Is that?
Hey, I'm just here to support and watch and learn, and I don't really have any distractions hanging out in my office. And I don't know who else hasn't gone. Is this everybody?
It is, as far as I know. YGG, do you know if any? I don't know who's actually leading the call. Is it your call, YGG?
I think it's a squad call. But sure, I'll take it. Yeah, it's my call. So hosted by the labs, I guess. But really, I think Jessica and Angela and Jeff put. But perfect. So that's nice. We've got all this from everyone. What I'm thinking is, my mind just goes straight to the data science stuff, but I'll start there. Octopus, that's great. If you want to, had a feeling you might say that. If you want to jump on the Doc2Vec, I think that's nice, and it falls under a more general category that is like encoding the data, basically, which you really brought up last time. It's a really good point. So if we can encode all of the columns in, like you've mentioned, one hot encoding for the categorical variables, then we can, as soon as we get the data into like a fully encoded format, then we can just start playing with machine learning algorithms, sklearn, unsupervised learning for clustering, and tsne and all this good stuff. So I think the encoding is one of the biggest things that's to be done, and the doc2vec is one of the more fun aspects of that. A lot of the other stuff will be like, the one hot encoding. Maybe you can get your students to do that. But I think encoding the data set opens up a world of analysis, and then the thing I'm going to jump on is kind of a separate channel, which is like more like analytical crunching columns against each other with the Yeah, so I think that's the general cluster. Like, there's two steps to this that might be confused, and one is the embedding of. So a lot of what I've been thinking about and what we've talked about is really focusing on this column, which is reason for dishing, but that's really we're using we can use unsupervised learning to just encode this column by using this thing like doc2vec. So we're already getting into an AI process, which isn't even to get results, really. It's intermediate results, which is encoding this single column. But we can turn this column, which is right now each row is a string of text, each row is a string of text, like a sentence. And we could turn this into like 5 columns that are feature vectors. So this one that says for hosting this kicking params party, this we could turn into like 5 columns, and it might be like 1.01, 0.3, negative 2.7, 7.6. It would probably be normalized, so the values would be all between negative 1 and 1. But we turn this human readable feature into a computer readable feature, which is a vector. So you just imagine this. If you see my screen here, this data frame would just get like, I wish you could see my hands too, but this data frame would just get expanded. I mean, this column would disappear and we'd have like a 5 vector of real numbers that expresses the spatial embedding of this column. So that's using AI to just do an encoding of a single column. Now we have all the other columns, which are all good on their own. Like I said, we can actually produce, so this is feature engineering. So we're at the feature engineering stage. So, for example, we could have one column that is day of week, and it could be an integer from 1 to 7, or simply it's a categorical variable, so from 0 to 6, so 7 options, 7 categories, and I think that'll provide some rich structure in the data. And then these names should be one hot encoded, yeah. And just to give the group, a quick synopsis on what is this one hot encoding. So you can look up, sklearn. So one hot encoding. sklearn is like the standard machine learning processing toolkit for Python. So you get this one hot encoder. So you encode a categorical feature as one hot numeric array. So I don't think I'll go deep into this, but definitely good reading for anyone curious. I'll just pop this in the labs channel, and it's a way of saying, instead of because you could encode this column numerically, so you could say, okay, Septimus is the number 1, Atticus is 2, Luke Weber is 3, Chrysis is 4, Sebastian is 5, and so there you get a numerical encoding, which everything needs to be numerical in the end when you pass it into a machine learning algorithm. But what this does is it introduces bias, because the algorithm is going to start trying to assign meaning to the magnitude of the encoding. So if you say Septimus is number 1 and Chris is number 7, then in some ways that means it means Septimus times 7 equals Chris. And so you get this weird kind of algebra structure that doesn't actually have meaning. So it's better to not just do a direct numerical encoding with integers. It's what you need to do is for each option for the category, you actually get a new column. So we would now have a column that says Septimus Q, and there would be a 1 in every row in which this value is Septimus and a 0 everywhere else. So it's good and bad. The bad part is that it kind of explodes your columns, because for every categorical column that you have, you're getting a new column for every value in the column. So you can get this. It's like you could potentially get n squared, or you can do the math on this. So that if m is the number of categories, then or the average number of options in a categorical column, and you have n categorical columns, then you now have n times m columns instead of just n. So it's kind of a square growth. So there can be trade-offs, but it's the default. Usually when you have a categorical column, you encode it using one hot. So it's probably what we'll do. I think it'll work fine. And then even like this room, the room is categorical. And then even these norm columns, see, this is where some domain expertise, and this is what Octopus said, when it comes to the encoding, we might need community, people who are deep in the community, because I know personally, I haven't yet built the intuition around these norm columns and how they should look in the analysis and how we can really utilize them. Maybe we just normalize these numbers so we squash them all between -1 or just between 0 and 1. I don't know if that would maintain the integrity of the information that's held within them. Or we might be able to use them analytically, like directly. Like we take this number and we divide it by the amount of praise that was given, something along those lines. But this is really what Octopus said, the exploratory data analysis step. I mean, I think it starts with the distributions, right? So this is really, you got to walk before you can run. So if we render a distribution of this V1 norm, then at least we'll have a sense of what these numbers look like. Like what's the domain, what's the distribution? So I really do think that's step one. But yeah, that was just kind of a lot of an introduction for anyone who's interested in some of the deeper stuff on. I mean, the concept was that we're using AI just column, and but all the columns can be encoded.
What does it take
And then we can use AI across the whole data set, basically.
And what does it take to run the distribution, or you just want to? You're saying you're basically setting it up so that you can do various things with it.
Distributions are easy. That's that can happen today. I know Octopus is that. So maybe we just kind of go through that today if we were so.
There's one thing I'm not clear about the data that do we currently, for the data set that we have, is it clear how many impact hours are for that particular?
Can you say that one more time, Octopus? Like I couldn't hear you at the end.
Yes. In the current data set, we have rows. The rows are praises, right?
Yeah, the rows are individual praises. Yeah.
So is there a column that tells what the impact hours were for that?
Yes, it's IH per praise is the name of the row. Or sorry, the name of the column.
Great.
The header of the column.
Awesome. Oh, very much.
Mm-hmm.
IH per praise, it's here. So we have 7,000. The mean is 1.7. Standard deviation is 1.8. Max is 48. 48 hours on a single praise. Interesting. That's a big one. Probably SEM. But yeah, this so
I assume that was actually Simon de la Rouvier for inventing bonding curves.
48 hours straight. And then he had it. Yeah, that's cool. So we could probably see which. That's not working. Oh, we could sort. Impact hours per praise. Actually, it's df.values. Impact hours per Be nice to see more rows. I mean columns. Yep. To Simon DLR from Griff Green for inventing bonding curves. Awesome. February.
And actually, Zeptimus is the one who pumped his score. Zeptimus gave him a ridiculous number. But it was a lot of work. And he probably deserves a Nobel Prize for that. So, 48 hours is a start.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out what do we need to produce, have this discussion in the community. Like, the distribution is nuts. Like, place 1 is like 20 times place 5, or, like, how do we really see? I mean, Jeff did a bit in Excel, but like, I guess what are the outputs needed? Because maybe that will help to guide the work a little bit as well. Because
you say the distribution is nuts, but it depends on how you're looking at it. If it was an airdrop, the distribution would be really bad. But if it's like, for work done, given certain parameters or whatever, then it like if this was a distribution of mining rewards, it wouldn't be like, I mean, it's not, but like, it's like, I think the output is, okay, here's the data. I liked your category idea. Like, is this how we want to, now that we have this data, like, does this distribution make sense given, because like just saying the distribution is bad, I don't know that that's like enough. We need to like justify why it got out of hand or how it got out of hand in a way that the community may not appreciate, right? It needs to be corrected.
Mapping it like a visual cluster map of like showing like, okay, the praise given in meetings was like kind of doubling or whatever the other praise, or just there'll be like a big blob around this like small group, and then I mean that's probably what we're gonna see, but I guess
that's why I think the best way, this isn't just all for fun, this force directed graph, I think it's going to give a very accurate picture because we can actually weight the edges by the strength of the praise. So we can see not just like what were the clusters of sort of instances of praise. It's not just like where were people praising each other a lot, but we can actually have it fully weighted in its structure by the amount of praise given. So we can see the density of praise, actual praise distribution from something like this, because each of these edges, you can parameterize it with strength and length. And so if we parameterize each edge in a force-directed graph with the actual magnitude of the praise that was dished, we can see the structure. And then I think key is what you definitely see, Jessica, and a lot of people see here, is the grouping is necessary. Absolutely. It's like, so if we can get deep, if we can use AI to all of these columns and categorize, I think it's an essential step. I think it's like, okay, by the time we have the outputs for this project, and maybe I think a week from next Tuesday, so we will have a categorization phase, and then we can see the categories along with the distribution of amounts, like just in a simple sort of histogram style, your typical distribution, but also with the colors of the groupings and just simple aggregation and sums, right? So for every group, for every category of praise, what's the total praise given, and then what is that as a percentage of all praise given? So sort of this
Okay.
table, and then it's this categorization, the bucketing. I think we can get out a first version, however we do that, and it's a very iterative process. So we can see what those categories and those buckets look like, and we can improve. Even use, like, we might start with one algorithm and then use a completely different algorithm. I think maybe one of the questions that could be pressing now is, do we want to take some time today to go ahead and work on a manual labeling so that we have that data set in reserve in case for when we need it.
Yeah, that was my main question because I was kind of like, it sounds like it's like you think maybe you can do it without that, but I feel like we have people here, and I know for me, I can't really help on the data side. So is it useful and worthwhile if we go ahead? I mean, in a praise quant, we've quanted like last week 2,000 praises. So I feel like if a couple of us did this kind of like categorization or bucketing, it would not take very long, maybe 30 minutes for like 3 to 5 people. So is that will that help your process? Is it useful and worthwhile to do that, or?
I think it's a good idea, and especially building off what the progress that you and Angela were making last week with the categories list.
And then I guess, yeah, like, should we?
It's also a really common step that industry uses. Amazon will pay people. I did this work once. Like, you get paid 2 cents per picture, and is this a picture of a cat? Yes or no? Click, and then they take all of that and use it to build up. So.
Yeah.
So then, if we're gonna do this, and it is really useful, is it best to just take like 1 month's example or one praise round example, or should we draw like 100 randomly from each one and then build a spreadsheet? And then we were discussing last time, is it better to key by number or words? And Octopus, you kind of said words, and then Sean, you said maybe actually numbers in case there's any like typos that would pollute the data. Then I guess that could happen with numbers as well.
I think it's good to start with numbers, and numbers can be mapped to words.
A number next to word, like number and word in different columns, then you can cross-reference or...
Yeah, well, kind of like what you have here, and then you have the description, or you have, let's see, okay, category, sort of the category title. So you guys already have both here, which is really nice. The category and the description and keywords, like, this is pretty awesome. I'm wondering, so I'm just going to talk this through. I don't know the best way to do it. I'm curious what Octopus will think and everything. But the idea that I'm having is basically, I think we should take this whole data set and we should randomly sample it. So like basically shuffle it and take, what do you think? Like maybe we can, is 500 too many? Or if I make 5, if I can print out 5 sets of 100, and they could later be.
Yes, and because there are keywords, we could we could take the 500 that are hand labeled. Then we could do an automated labeler, like check to see if YouTube is in there, automatically label it the YouTube category.
Yeah.
But 500 sounds like a really good starting number to me, especially because each person can take just one part and go through.
I mean, I'm willing to do it. I don't mind.
Or should I could also do like 10 groups of 20, or is that, yeah, so just let me know what would be the best. I think, 500 is a good set. Like, it looks pretty good from the data science perspective.
So can you, if 500, that's fine. And,
cool.
I can do that myself in half an hour, probably. And there's only 9,000 or whatever total. So we could start with that and see how far. And can you put it in the same spreadsheet as the categories?
Yep.
And then show like how you'd want me to label it so that and then if anybody else here wants to like support, we can just take like I'll take 1 through 100 start, somebody take 200 through 300 and just see if we can crush them out. And then if there are questions about categories, we can decide together in case a question comes up. I'll just share this category sheet in the params channel. Where is this?
It's like grading AP calculus exams.
Yes.
The room.
Yeah.
You
I have been a teacher before. Grading is fun.
Well, but you have a room full of people grading, and then if there are disputes, you
Oh yeah.
together. Each day you get feedback how accurately you graded, so then you can go back the next day and adjust it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can easily do 500 if more is helpful and anyone else is willing. It's done quanting. I don't think it'll take too long.
So I'll be happy to take one set as well in parallel. I might have questions in one or the other case, how to categorize.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been part of the praise process. And I don't know, are there any people in the call who have been quantifying praise? I guess you have a much better feeling for what is what in terms of categories.
Yeah, it's mostly straightforward. There might be a few, like, I don't know, I think it's pretty straightforward, but we can see as it comes up.
Yeah.
The other
or I'm happy
was
to
like,
team up with somebody.
Yeah.
So I know about the categories, how we came up with categories, and probably somebody else who was at some point taking part in a praise session, so that praise quantification session. This, I guess, is a good combination.
The other thing I'm kind of looking forward to see too is like how this like participation, like attending calls and meetings and like retweeting and stuff stacks up against some of the other work. Like if you pull it out as a category, is it weighted a lot higher than some of the other work? Because what is seen, it's very like visible. It's a weird paradox. It's like I feel like the praise system is really great at quantifying this invisible work, but weirdly it almost values this normally invisible work more than the visible work, like in a skewed way. So it's interesting. Okay.
And this is one of the points I made is that, the praise system, I think, is a composable mechanism. When we have like a real world payment structure, for example, like salary or something that, we don't have this ability to recognize the unseen labor above and beyond that. So I think the praise system is a really interesting composable mechanism, and I'm curious how we choose to move forward. Whether integrating, I feel like SourceCred sees part of the landscape, the praise system sees part of the landscape, but each on their own doesn't see the full landscape. So I'm interested how we can leverage multiple tools, including, the praise system, SourceCred, a regular salary system, and potentially even more to view as much of this landscape as the community finds relevant. And I think this discussion came up. The praise system is really good at accounting for certain types of labor, but not so great at other types of labor. So just looking at, how certain actions may have been undervalued and how, as a community, we want to make sure those actions are recognized and valued in the initial governance distribution of the TE.
Agree. I think that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, the composability is super exciting when you think about this. Yeah, this is just one piece, and there's like 100 innovations to come on how to do distribute. And we have a lot of concepts mixed together here, like governance, tokens, and salary distributions, compensations, and all sorts of stuff. I think through really, really deep analysis over time, we can actually splice those things out and decouple these concepts and have like a very orthogonal mechanism toolkit for having very high precision, like on rewarding someone monetarily versus having someone earn governance influence. And maybe it's probably okay and maybe even good to have these things combined to some extent and to have overlap, but to have full control over that and insights through the analysis, I think, yeah, the composability is, to me, maybe the most interesting aspect of all of this. So well said, Jeff. And the data set's in here, so.
Okay, so what's the best way to do it? Create one more column to the left or two columns where we put on the left the number do two columns. Yeah, kind of like that, where on the far left we have one for numbers and one for the category just as like a backup, and you could pull whatever you think's better or cross-reference.
Is there a way to, if someone can get fancy with spreadsheets, we can make a drop down?
Oh, that's not me. Does that?
Griff?
Griff is a spreadsheet wizard.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I am not able to do it during this hour. I'm so sorry.
Let's just go. I mean, the time we need until
I
setting
can
up
just
the
copy and paste, like we can.
Yeah, and it's all we need is the number, right, next to every single.
What's the easiest? I mean, I'm thinking it might be easier to have the actual category name and then.
I was just thinking both, because then you could.
Okay.
I would say make up the category that you think ends up fitting personally, and then at the end we triage the categories, because that way that gives you full agency to make up a category if something doesn't fit in a category, and then at the end we have the data with categories and we can just start combining them.
So in case there's no fit, make up a known category.
Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm skeptical, guys, because then we have to resolve
then
all
we'll
the
have so
categories
many
at the
different-
end.
Yeah, we need.
But I think there's the midway point, which is categories, and then have a category which is like other, and then we can go through those, and maybe we'll say, oh yeah, obviously this extra category like at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think just see if you have a question if something doesn't fit in a category. I think these are pretty thorough.
And
we can have
more categories can be created too. We could create category number year 21 if it becomes obvious that it's.
Okay, so
and just for everybody's information, all the lines that don't have any number are just descriptions of the, for example, line 20, line 29, educational formats fall on the 19 education. These are examples in a way.
Subcategories in a way.
Subcategories, yeah. But for the sake of simplicity, not sure if we should take them in separate buckets.
Just gonna put two columns and start going.
Well, we can't get this back once we do it. We don't want to, do 500 data sets and then realize the most important. So it might be worth. Yeah, subcategories I think are great.
Yeah.
And even all of these categories shouldn't.
Yeah, then we should renumber.
Why do we need subcategories? Well, I guess it's more granular.
It gives us the ability to, so like CAD-CAT is a subcategory. So wouldn't it be nice to see all praise that was related to CAD-CAD versus Token Spice versus apps?
I guess if we're doing it once, we might as well do it. But then, we've got to then break out these with extra numbers.
Is
Sorry.
there a way we can do this as a first pass and then decide if we need to get more granular from there? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some of these, like token spice. If it's received any praise, maybe 1 or 2 token CAD, if that. And I'm just curious how granular, like, I mean, even 19 categories seems like a lot already, before we break into subcategories.
It's a good point, Jeff. There's nothing stopping us to later add a subcategory column and yep. And then everyone could just, we could go through that and add all the if necessary. Keywords are pretty neat. I think I would like to have the keyword data set. I feel like if we have the category and the keywords, that's comprehensive because we have the high level bucketing, and then in keywords, it's more high fidelity. You can add whatever keyword comes to mind that's appropriate.
I was wondering if can't we derive keywords from the categories?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So this was I was hoping to get from any machine learning we apply, that we just have the categories and then the data sets behind the categories, and then via supervised learning train an algorithm to find appropriate keywords in the data sets. It might be.
Yep, good point. So like from the data, like a bottom up from the data with keywords associated with a category. I feel like having these 2 label columns adds flexibility and like cross-reference ability. So we might have we have largely working groups on the left, and on the right we might have something like CAD. We might see that CAD comes up in or GitHub or transparency or I think just this idea of having 2 categorical columns allows for like cross-reference ability.
And just one question, and then I'm ready to jump in. I mean, I just made 2 columns for category number and category name. But there's one praise that's a lot that people do that's like so-and-so for caring or so-and-so for being blank. I don't know if we call that participation, or do we call that like general love? Like there's like general praising for being people. So we don't really have a category for that, but I've seen it a lot in quanting. So should we make a 22nd category for like somebody being great, or
like personal praise or something?
Yeah, personal praise. That's a good one. I'm going to add a category 22 for personal praise. Okay.
Okay, maybe before we break up in individuals, is there any, so 1 to 50 is Jess, 50 to 100 is person number 2, or how should we split it?
Oh, who would like to support and participate in categorizing? Me, Ange. Who else? Any other volunteers?
I think D-Dan said he's good at this stuff.
D-Dan?
What am I good at?
Categorizing praise.
Yeah, if it involves like some manual data processing, sure. No.
Okay, there's 3.
Are there people who would be willing to apprentice Jessica or Angela to like learn how the process works and start working?
Yeah, and Septimus, I mean, you have quantified praise. You have a really good overview on what's there and what it is.
Yeah, but
I would love to.
I mean, the thing is like the Wednesday call I cannot attend, but I mean on weekends I could help if we do a work session or
Oh
something.
no, this is just Just now we're gonna go through
Oh,
500 praises, and we're
yeah.
trying to
Now.
split it up.
I mean, right now,
So,
yes.
Sean, can you share this sheet again, or I can share my screen? I can
Yeah,
share my screen
You
and
go
go.
ahead. Yeah.
This is the praise categories Google Doc that Jessica
Yeah.
just shared.
I just
Okay, awesome.
shared. So I'm gonna take 1 to, let's say 50, but I'm happy to do loads more. And then all I'm doing is, can you see my screen?
No, it's
Not yet.
spinning.
Okay, darn. Let me try. Okay, let me try
And
again.
if you need help, since I also do praise quant, I can assist.
Awesome.
Thanks, Eduardo. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So anyone that does this gets cookies from me if I ever see you. So I've got this sheet here, and Angela and I and a few others built these categories. So we put a number, and then we put a category. So I'm going to go to the praise sheet, and to the best of my ability, I'm going to look, like for this one says, always caring for our bot and valued community members. Okay, that's a little mixed, actually, because kind of like doing bot work, and also it's personal praise. So Sean actually is a good point. If these things are two things, what do we do? Some people like double or triple praise. Should we include them in both categories then? Like that's personal praise, and it's also TEC tools, if I can find that.
I would think so. I'm not the data scientist here, but I would think they should get both.
Maybe we should just have category 1 and category 2 is optional.
Okay. So I'm gonna do category number 2. And this is if they fit in 2 categories, then category name number 1. This is kind of there's a few that are like maybe more than one, so we can double bucket them, or we can at least decide later. So category name, name 2. And so for this
Also,
one,
you guys, I think you guys don't need the numbers. If I feel like it's more work, but it's not necessary.
really? Okay.
Yeah, we'll add numbers by default afterwards.
Okay, so in this case, we've got somebody who's like doing bot work, so that's like tech dev, and then we have like caring about community members, and I think that's kind of like what we could call that personal praise, or we can call that participation or community building. Is there a community building?
Yeah, I mean, there is like the kind of question of like, if it's
Community
sort
building.
of general, if
Yeah.
it's really general, then yeah, it's hard to quantify.
Here,
I think we need to be more 80-20 on this. I think we
Yeah.
really just need to make, pick one category. I have a feeling like trying to figure out if this is like within 1 or within 2. I'm just trying to think like, how do we do this within a amount of time that's reasonable? And I think it's like just let's put it in a category and move to the next one, because otherwise this is going to take us weeks just to label this.
What will happen is the errors will balance out. The time that it was a coin flip between 2 and 8, and one person picked 2 and one person picked 8, that'll balance out as over the course of the process.
Yeah, but actually I'm missing a category that is about this community thing. We have communications and we have culture build, but it
we
feels
have that ecosystem development one, Angela, that includes community building.
Number.
So that's number 20. We have ecosystem development, which includes community building.
This is TE discipline only and not TEC.
Oh. TE community. Okay, then let's go back through. I thought we had one for that. Maybe we should just go through the categories one more time and just look. So we have.
I think this is one. Yeah, go.
Okay, I'm just gonna. I can't even see some of this. Hold on, I'm gonna fix it. Okay. So we have comms, Cultural build. You have like onboarding community members. What is that example? Participation, interaction between members. So I'd say participation. Here we wrote TEC though, Ange, in ecosystem development. But there's ecosystem development is in there twice.
Yeah, I'm
Did you-
trying to update it to have it once for TEC. Yeah.
Okay, so like a TEC community building.
Yeah.
That'll be great. I think that'll hopefully solve for that. Okay, so we're doing one category only to the best of our ability. So this one is like always caring for our bot and community members. So I'm going to call that infrastructure work because he's taking care of a bot. Or this is like more. Oh, not bot work. This is for like getting community members praised. So that would be whatever category you're building. Okay. Okay, so you're making a code now?
I'm just trying to make it a little bit clearer, but I'm
Okay, no, that works actually because then we can see TE and TEC work. All right, so I'm gonna just do then one category and then one. I think the code is a good idea. Category code. Okay, so then this one is going to be a thingy you made, TEC 15. So I'm just copying and pasting. TEC 15 category name is TEC ecosystem development and community building. Okay, so the word ecosystem development. So why don't we call this one TE ecosystem development and we can call this one EC community building.
I think that takes a lot of work. If we, Sean, what's the reason why we should use the words? I mean, a code is so much more easier to differentiate. Now we're spending time with finding different names for the same things in two areas. I don't.
Code.
I'm just thinking about the labeling process. So labeling process. So if the codes are easier, use the codes.
Okay.
Yeah,
code
but they need to be since we have this overlap of very similar tasks to in both areas. I think having the words, the name, category name only can be confusing. And then if you have a typo, then you have a new category. So this is why
these codes are great. I mean, I see what you're doing now. TE can be so these are information-rich codes, which is.
I mean, you can always improve. Just for the sake of this exercise, where we want to have 500 labeled.
Yeah. I think you guys nailed it. These codes look good. You got one column. Everybody just chill out.
Okay, we got this. All right, so now is everybody okay? That took some time, but we got it. And like here, people are praising people for like music. Thanks for the great music. Okay, so I'm gonna call that interaction between community members.
I'm just waiting for the dust to settle here.
Okay,
and then I'm gonna jump to the middle of the list somewhere and just go at it.
If you, Dan,
Awesome.
want to go 50 to 100, we're settled. And then if you have a question, just flag it and raise it.
All right, I'll be jumping right on that 50. So off my turf.
I start on 200, Jess, did you say?
Say what?
On 200, I start there?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. And yeah, the other thing is too, like, we have this category for, we have category for legal, and then we have category for participation. So I feel like the other difference is like attending a meeting, do we put in legal or do we put in participation? Because attending a meeting is like anyone can do that, but doing like legal strategy work or something by an attorney, like would we weight that the same? In my mind, no. So I would rather assign like attending a meeting as participation. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Jess. There.
Okay, so I'm going to write attending meeting. But if it's like, so if anybody attended a meeting, it goes under participation. If somebody did a specific task related to a working group, then we are assigning to the working group. Is that reasonable?
That makes sense. Sometimes it might be hard to digest just from the data we have, but yeah, that's just the thing we have.
Joining a sync, then I'm going to call participation, which is this TE12, TC12. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
Progress over perfection. We have like a 10% error rate. That's still better than.
Good. Okay, should we start?
Oh yeah, sorry, I already started. Oh, one more thing. What did we say about retweets and all that? We also consider that participation?
I'd say community building or comms.
No, I think the retweets are. Didn't we just say that we wanted to separate out the retweets and just the meeting attendance from the other things?
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I understand, but I think retweets is more participation.
All right, let's go this way. Then I deleted from comms because, yeah, retweeting is different from writing an article.
Yeah, it's okay. So I'm putting attending meetings and retweets under the participation bucket. We can all figure this out as we go too. But yeah, these are going to come up a lot. So like mentioning or retweeting on socials, I'm putting participation. Same for engaging in forum discussion. Oh, okay. So yeah, and by contrast, like, okay, the insightful and well-formed presentation in Gravity, that's like a Gravity working group. Big task. Okay.
I see a category on TE, personal praise, but not on TEC. Or should I use the same?
Did somebody praise somebody specific like that? And what does it say?
Someone's praised Chui for all he does, but it's not specific. So I wanted to put it on a personal price, but it's not TE actually, it's TEC.
Oh, okay. Well,
a good point.
So you want me to change this to TEC 8 for personal praise?
Yeah, that'd be great.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we can have it in
Or,
both.
should I
It's just
change
we
it?
should.
Yeah, but that was not. There isn't really any of that going on for TE. So,
Yeah,
are
just
you
for
gonna
the
move that up? Okay, yeah, and change it. Okay, so now it's EC 16 as FD.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then I don't see gravity group. Oh, we have gravity. We need. Oh no, and we put gravity under soft gov. Should gravity be its own bucket?
Well, I think that Gravity is a working group and it can be like a bucket, but I am feeling like a little bit concerned about like making these buckets because I remember that for the first rounds we tried to do this tiering system, and I think that it's difficult, yeah, to there are gonna be a lot of praises that are going to be like in the middle between one bucket or another, and I don't know how can that affect, yeah, the analysis.
Mm,
You will always have that. So it's some you trust the experts that whatever they say, whatever decision correct, we go from.
me, yeah, going through this, like, I think we've sorted out some of the main ones, but you know, Juan, if you want to kind of look through and just like have a look at how we're bucketing, but I feel like it's pretty clear thus far, except for the few flags that we've raised and fixed. And then as we go, we can just see if there's if anybody has like any concerns. But I feel like I don't think it's too many on the fence.
Okay.
But I hear you. I'm just trying to go through and like see these examples and if they're confusing or not.
And what about when people is jumping on new projects? Is that personal as well, or
What is it?
uh, for jumping on a new art project with Santi and for meeting Eduardo in person? Well, actually, it's two praise in one. This one.
Yeah, the praise is quantified, like, so the double shouldn't matter, but I see that as personal praise because it's like meeting someone and then a new project, not that the art project, to my knowledge, isn't TEC or TE unless there's some part of it that's going to be open source, but it seems like a personal project. Like if somebody gave me praise for like volunteering at a local shelter, you know, like it's good work, but it doesn't have anything to do with TEC or TE. So I would maybe call that personal.
Yeah, makes sense.
I have given several praises to Mateo for collaborating with the Ed Colombia community. Would that be personal as well?
I see that as like community building probably would be how I would label it. I would label it like TE6 or I'd say it's more TE6 like TE ecosystem development.
Okay.
Meetups, talks, events is what we have listed there.
Okay.
Meetups, talks, and events. And I think it's expanding like the TE community and also TEC. You can make a case for either, but this won't affect weighting. It's just like how we are going to cluster and look at the difference between some of the work and what was weighted more heavily. So like we would see the difference between like Stuart's work for the TEC and then like people retweeting, let's say. But yeah, that work to me would be TE community building or ecosystem development, in my opinion. But if other people have a different idea. And yeah, I do think it's helpful we sense make together on this because then everybody will feel good that it's like makes sense.
Where would you add when a person is leading a book club for the governing the commons?
I mean, I think, let's see. What do you think, Ange? TE education or TEC? I'd say TE education, maybe.
Or also culture build soft gov.
That we have a bucket for.
Yeah.
This TEC2 bucket. GovGov, survey, vote, voting, conflict resolution, or that these are moved down actually.
So should I put it on this one, the soft gov, or in the education?
Oh yeah, soft. It is soft gov actually.
Okay.
Culture build, I guess, because it's Ostrom.
Y'all are awesome.
You are the awesome. I just feel good I can actually do something since I can't do any of the coding work.
It's a very consequential thing. The algorithms can do what they can do, but it's really, really helpful to have domain expertise. Incredibly. Thank you. Unavoidable that there will be judgment calls and their edge cases. That happens in every single data problem. Categorize. It's really helpful to have somebody try.
Yeah, I
Should
think
should I be trying to like fix anything? Like for example, one of them has just one name in the from column, but really in the reason has like 6 other names who that phrase was to.
might be for joining a meeting. Do you want to read it off and then we can help you?
Yeah. Okay, it says to Viad, from Viad, reason for dishing, at Anna Marie, at Freedoms, at Mateo. So my point is, obviously this is not the praising herself. So should I move those names to the from column?
Oh, no, that's okay. You can leave it as is. Just what was the reason for? Is it just names or did it have something else?
Well, it's like participation. That's what wasn't really my question. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
I can say it's
Yeah.
participation, but I just wasn't sure if I should try and because like I am I get caught in the details like that.
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad you asked.
Create a different document where you put like question. I have a question about row such and then those questions be adjudicated. But if you start cross-tasking, I'm doing one this other thing. There's really a lot of. It might be good to have a questions document. I'm not sure. I don't feel comfortable calling category on this one. Somebody else look at.
Okay.
Well, should I
Why
just
don't-
flag that item?
Here, I'll
or
put in column B, I put questions. I don't know if you
so
can
I
still
can
see my
just put
screen.
an X in that column?
Yeah, but yeah,
it
you
will
shouldn't
be-
alter any of the data there. Better you flag it and then we can look at it together. I think. Yeah, the main thing is if you know it's participation, like for attending a meeting or whatever, you can throw the code on there still, and then we can look at. often people, when we praise for people attending meetings, it will populate like separately for each name, but then it also comes in a group. So it should be fine. I think I know what you're
Okay.
talking about. I think it's fine. But yeah, if you want to put an X next to it, we can just double check.
What about helping with the settings of Discord? Since Discord is not open source, so it cannot be on TC14, but
I would say comms.
okay.
Yeah, TEC1. Comms working group.
But probably this term open source is a little bit misleading. I think we included it because it's not only building it, but also open sourcing it. But probably we can remove it here, technical infrastructure. What do you think?
What? I'm sorry. Which one are you talking about? This one?
TEC
Oh,
14.
yeah. You can take that out because that's
Yeah.
that's not necessary. It's TEC technical infrastructure, so like TEC tools. So yeah, actually, I guess helping with Discord, I consider that more comms working group than.
Yeah, that's okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jessica. Discord's always been under comms.
Okay. And I think some of the categories won't matter as much, but when we see like, say, yeah, participation rewards versus like some other things could be interesting.
What about the comms that are done for the common swarm? For example, like Chui prays 1.5 hours of work, the weekly update to the prep for Tuesday's MA, and it was for the common swarm. It's not specified in here, but I know it's from common swarm. So I don't know how should we approach this data.
Was comms work for the common swarm?
Yeah.
I would still put it under common swarm because yeah, they did an AMA on like I think whatchamacallit, Celeste. So they were just like sharing about their common swarm work. So I would say common swarm.
Okay. What about when people get praised for joining the commons stack? Should it be personal or?
Let me see.
I would say that that is participation. That's like the first step for participation.
Yeah, but it's
TE7. We have TE7 participation.
Okay.
I can add joining common stack so that we know that we filed it there.
Okay.
Let's see. What about donating to a grant, simulator grant?
I've put that to fundraising a couple of times.
Fundraising, yes.
What do you think? Is it good?
Yeah, even if it's your own funds, you're giving funds. So I'll just add a note to that, like fundraising and or donating.
Okay, so I'm just noticing number 14, TC4, which is technical infrastructure, and I'm wondering how it is different from common swarm, TC5.
I guess, let's see. The common swarm is, I see what you're saying. That is a little confusing. Maybe we should refine that to. Common swarm is like particularly
Like
the DAP
focused
and things
on
like
the
this. Yeah,
on the
focused on like
DAO.
the DAO, and then the technical infrastructure is like there are other people that are like handling bots and doing modeling work. But we could merge it into one stream. We could merge those two.
Yeah, I don't.
Make...
I mean, it's. I don't have like interest in like how it shakes out in the end, but I also see their need for a distinction because it's sort of. But I don't know. It's the joy of categorization.
What do you guys think?
I was focused on the data. I didn't hear.
Oh,
I was just saying, what's the difference? Technical infrastructure and common swarm category, or should we say common swarm is specifically for the commons related stuff, where technical.
Commons swarm isn't commons related. Oh yeah, like commons like the garden implementation, right? But that's
yeah, they're
specifically what
handling
it's for,
specifically
right?
like the
I
Hatch
think
app and all this, but we could combine them.
I think they are. I
I
mean,
agree.
they are different in nature. Technical infrastructure, I think, is a broader, more generic, and common swarm is very specific task.
Okay.
Yeah, Common Swarm is a sub project, or it's like its own. So Common Swarm actually broke away from One Hive, right? So it's kind of an entirely different thing than something that originated in the TEC. I don't know. I've just seen a lot of conversation about it through the months. And I feel
I mean,
we left it separate.
Yeah, the common swarm definitely has its own category, right? So it's
It's kind of like a working group versus support work, I guess, on like other tech.
Like there's a lot of it's a very specific bucket. There's a lot of common swarm. They use praise to pay to track their hours. So there's a lot. They have like a very standard praise set.
Okay, well that was just my evidence of my naive understanding of what the common swarm was, because I just took it to mean like that's the group that does all the technical stuff.
They do all the smart contract work with Aragon and build the like the hatch
Right.
demos and the hatch.
Gotcha.
So I just came across a TE spotlight, like people come and present in the TEC meeting. I'm going to put it as TE ecosystem development. Yes.
That sounds great.
Do you still need someone to jump in and fill in, or with everyone that is doing it is
Yeah.
enough?
Actually, if you could, we still have a couple of hundred to go. You could maybe take
Okay.
250 through 300. And I'm going
250.
backwards from 400.
Sure. 250 to 300.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
Juan, was that you that just picked up that chunk?
Sorry.
Was that you that just picked up the chunk to work through?
I am not taking like one range. I am looking for the ones that I can like easily detect.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so I just found one as an example of technical infrastructure if anybody wants. So there was a praise for bot being deployed. So I'm giving that a technical infrastructure because it's not necessarily common swarm, it's just like tech, a bot. And same like transparency, writing a blog of about transparency. Like it could be comms, but to me, really, it's transparency. So I'm going to put transparency work. I guess anything furthering like its own working group.
Where would someone categorize for an epic retrospective to an epic sprint 6?
Retro to sprint, I would say stewards.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's correct. Create the one that says plug in the mission vision values template the token log. That's Common Swarm.
I would say params.
Did you say plug in?
Yeah,
Plug in.
it's roll 256.
I can't see the spreadsheet, but yeah, I would also go with Zep on the params. It's definitely not Swarm.
Thank you.
So source cred work, I would call that technical infrastructure rather than soft gov. Because it's like,
Yeah.
It's definitely happening under the SoftGov
yeah.
brand or whatever, like it's a SoftGov project. But I hear you, it is kind of technical infrastructure. But the configuration of it
Yeah,
is the other
like
side. So it's like half the work is SoftGov, half the work is technical.
okay. If I see it again, I'll flop them because yeah, it's kind of half-half. But I think the actual setup of like the tech is maybe more infrastructure.
Yeah.
CAD.
The work on the comment simulator.
The common swarm.
No,
First.
comment simulator. The game I
Oh,
put here.
Sorry. I guess that would be TE research. E2. TE research.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, is actually Zepti. I Jeff was saying maybe that's education. E5.
Okay, yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah, I just forgot we had that category. I'm looking.
Yeah, I should jump back in around. Doesn't, there's a few out in two. Doesn't look like anyone specific tackled it.
There are a few people that are taking one thing and going across the whole list. At least that's one thing I've been doing. Just I find it easier to pick out when I'm looking for one thing. So you may see a couple of random ones scattered through, but don't mind those, or confirm them to make sure you agree, I guess.
Well, I'm not gonna uh, not gonna dispute anybody's categorizations.
Yeah, I think
Because
the ones that I've seen are pretty straightforward so far, anyway.
So we have the one that used to belong to the onboarding working group that became the Hatch Outreach working group. So shall we label it on still
It's
Hatch
all,
Outreach?
yeah, like if you look at the category, it says Hatch Outreach Onboarding. Hatch, it's like we have both. So that's supposed to be the keyword. Yeah, we have one group. It's the same group, it just got renamed. EC6.
Yes.
Okay.
Celeste, it's common swarm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's not like a one hive category, right?
No. Oh, Celeste. Sorry. Yeah, I guess it's common swarm. Or it could be TE research. No, it's common swarm. There's nothing. TE frameworks and tools.
Yeah, I
Probably
thought we said
common
earlier
swarm.
that it was common swarm.
Yeah.
I reach a point where I'm with someone else, so I don't know if we should. I don't know how do I approach that because where I'm adding someone is also adding. So.
Okay. I'm scrolling. There's Just scroll and see if you see any blanks. Like, for example, I just found 2 blank, 325 and 326. Somebody missed or wasn't sure how to do those. Maybe just scroll and see where is blank. Looks like we're doing pretty good. Looks like we're almost done. So just scroll for blanks, and I'll scroll with you because I also finished my section. So I'm just gonna scroll and see if anybody missed or was like maybe skipped them because they weren't sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. There's a few people put
367 and I think 371 have question marks. I feel like ecosystem development might be a good fit for those.
Okay. Which number?
367.
367. Okay, one sec. I'll be right there. I'm on another question mark.
Yep.
367. Sharing a post. Okay. Okay, I'd say.
I feel that one have like 2 prices inside. Like one is for common swarms
Yeah.
and another for legal, and even something for the narrative could also be comms. So it's like 3 price in one.
Yeah. That one is hard. I haven't seen one that's that hard. I would say though, he's mainly working with common swarms. So yeah, I would tag it under common swarm or legal.
Common swarm because that's what is Griff. Is he still listening?
That's Sem's praise. So I'd say Sem is mostly common swarm, but it could also be legal.
Yeah, so on number 36, oh, you don't have the spreadsheet. So Sam got a complicated praise that covers several working groups. Should we default it to common swarm?
What was the praise for?
Sharing an inspiring post about what we can do for our deep narratives, for having a fantastic meeting with Santi to clarify and get all legal issues sorted out, and for helping Rain with vesting visualization project.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess default. You just pick one of the 3, right? This is what Octopus said. It's like
Right, but you said something about the common swarm and them using this to get paid. So does that affect how we categorize it?
I don't think does it say for working so many hours in it?
No.
I think this was
okay.
I think this was a praise from probably Ivy, I assume.
No, it's from you.
It's from me? In one praise?
Yeah, note to self, right?
Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'd put it in legal.
Okay.
Fabio was part of the common swarm, right?
Fabio?
Yeah.
So Fabi Mole is part of the common swarm, and then Fabio Mendez does a little bit of work for common swarm, but mostly does param.
So I just want to say earlier somebody was mentioning forum, like participating in the forum as just participation, but to me that's more like comms work because responding, writing in the forums is a lot bigger than a retweet or whatever. Just my opinion.
I think I tend to agree. Yeah, because and also we need a lot more. I mean, not that we don't need more retweets, but we do need a lot more forum interaction, so it should be valued.
Well, there's writing a forum post and there's replying to a thread, interacting, which interacting could be a heart. Just put
Well,
it
not a hard. Definitely a hard is like a
Yeah.
light is participation, but a responding to the
responding to a forum post.
is just as intensive as writing one. I think. At least that's how
So
I.
maybe we can call it. Let's see, comms or
Yeah, that's what I. That's just the easiest.
if it's bigger, or like or community building, we could call it.
Who
Sure.
is on 371?
Oh, yeah, that one might be ecosystem too. I'm not sure. That was Tam and Sugar talking. Was that what that was?
Yeah, I think that one it's onboarding actually because it's since Katie is taking care of onboarding, I think those meetings
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I know, just still some work being done, but fist pump.
Yeah, there's still some work to do, but we're at the top of the hour and we have the great hatch debate coming up